Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mike and Mike's Warhammer Workshop, and our next sit and talk about the Aeronautica Imperialis. Dun dun dun! I just love this fucking book. Sorry, I'm sorry. So we played 2 games now, and as I promised, I will do another video once we play the game. And here it is. We loved the game. It has a few things in common with X-Wing, like hidden maneuvers, you put down your maneuvers in secret, and then you, of course, fly around and shoot at each other. But other than that, I don't think there's that much in common, actually. One of the things that I didn't realize when watching like bat reps and stuff, I don't know if I just didn't see it or they didn't explain it or whatever, but you have to fly your max speed. The way I when I watched the bat rep, it looked like they sort of went between their minimum speed and their max speed, and I was like, that's a little too loose, maybe. Not that constricted, but that's not how it's played. You have to fly your max speed in hexes. But you can, of course, when you activate a fighter, you reel the token, and then you can throttle up or down. And some planes have a better throttle or a worse throttle. Like the Thunderbolts have a throttle of 2, and Marauders have a throttle. That's a weird word to say a lot of times. They have a throttle of 1, so they can't speed up and down as much. But these can, and there was a thing that it's in the rulebook. I wish it was in the quick reference sheet. When you're at speed, I think it's 5 or more, you can descend or maybe ascend or both. Definitely descend. I don't know if you could go up, but you can go down 2 levels instead of 1 in altitude, which means you can dive pretty far down to avoid being shot at. And the guy I played against, my friend Emil, he used this in his second game to pretty good effect, where he started a game on like altitude 2 or 3, and I was like on 4 or 5 for some reason. I thought being high up would give me an advantage, because Imperial planes can go to altitude 5, while orcs can't. They can only go to altitude 4 with the planes they have now. Anyway, he just dove to like altitude 1 and max speed. So he was in my medium range, but no matter what I did, I couldn't shoot him, because you can't fire at planes who are 2 altitudes or more above or below you, because that's just too far away, I guess. Which means there's 5 altitude levels, so you can. There's always somewhere you can hide, basically. And then, of course, when you're at 1 altitude's different in level, there's a -1 to hit, and if you're like spinning out or stalling, there's another -1. So you can actually sort of speed down and go up to avoid getting shot at as well. Just make sure 1 altitude level's difference and stall out, which is it's so cool you can do that. Yeah, the movement is very different to what I'm used to as well. Since you put down your maneuvers in secret, and then when you activate a plane, you go back and forth. There's no like initiative levels or anything like that. It's like the standard Games Workshop Oh, when I say that, maybe more like there's not a specialist games for Games Workshop, where you activate one guy and then the other player gets to activate one of his, and then you activate and go back and forth. It's unlike like 40k where you activate your whole army basically, where it's more like the other guy gets to sit and watch you play. I really wish they would do alternating activations for 40k. Actually, I think that would solve a lot of problems with the way that first turn is so important, especially for like when there's an army that can just shoot you off the board, and they do that turn one. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling about 40k now. Sorry. Where was I? Yeah. So you reveal your dial, your token, and that corresponds to like a maneuver, and certain planes can do like more maneuvers. Like my bombers, the marauders, can only do maneuvers 1, 2, 3, and these can do up to 6, I think. So you reveal the maneuver. Then some of them have like, do you want to go to your right or to your left, like in the 45-degree arc here. So that right off the bat you have like a lot of options here. Let's say you have like an orc plane that flew in here, but you intended to fly over here, but now you can just, I can go to my right instead and get behind that guy. So you can sort of react a lot to your opponents and take advantage of that, which means like flying first, it sort of gives your opponent an edge. But the way it works with initiative is like you roll off every turn, and whoever gets initiative gets to pick who flies first. But whoever flies first also gets to shoot first, and so it's like a double-edged sword, because you want to shoot first, but you probably don't want to fly first. Sometimes maybe you want to. I can see situations like I want to bait that plane with, like, I sacrifice this guy who's almost dead, and hopefully I can get a specific plane to go where I want. Maybe something like that. So there's a lot of thinking involved, and you have to sort of measure out your maneuvers. I will say, like, in the first game, like, just looking at the maneuvers, the reference sheet can be a bit daunting. We sort of ended up like twisting and turning it to make sense out of it. But after a while, it becomes like second nature. At least the maneuvers you use the most, you will sort of. I think after a few more games, you will memorize them pretty quickly. And if you play like regularly, yeah. So I think that's it for our video. I have one more thing. I think the core box is a bit. It leans a bit much in favor of the Imperials, and I think that might be like the points value, and I think it also might be a combination of like the points value. Like there's, if you don't buy the build or play as the Thunderbolt Furies and you just play the Thunderbolts, you have this exact same amount of points as the Orc player, like 88 points. And I think Imperials do better at lower points than Orcs do, and it can also be like maybe Orcs need more Dakka Jets instead of bombers. So like maybe they should have like one fighter bomber and more Dakka Jets, or the other way around. I don't know. But I think on higher points levels, it'll even out a lot more. And I think maybe the dogfight mission, just the straight up dogfight on low points, favors the Imperials. You can of course play with like the weather effects, like bad weather or night fighting, and that will heavily tip in the Orcs' favor, I think. Or not heavily. Night fighting works like you can't shoot at long range at all, and you halve your number of shots on medium range. which is where Imperials are like that's their optimal range for their guns. So that hurts the Imperials a lot. Bad weather is pretty cool because you roll a d3 and uh, it basically, if you roll a 3, level 1, 2, and 3, altitude 1, 2, and 3 will be under the effect of bad weather, which is the same as night fighting. So you can sort of fly above and see farther. It's pretty cool. And there's of course like upgrades. The Imperials can take like infrared sights or something like that for 2 points, which ignores the halving of the medium range shots from night fighting. So that might be an upgrade to consider, which makes the planes a bit more expensive, which is one of the things either these planes should go up in points, maybe. It's too soon to tell, of course, with just like 2 games on 88 points. But that's what our initial reaction was. Like these, the Imperial planes could go up like 1 or 2 points, maybe. But that's just an initial knee-jerk reaction. We'll see on higher points, because we did split another box, so I have more planes to build, and we'll try out a higher points value, like maybe a 200 points battle. Maybe not next time, but soon, I hope. TM. Soon TM. And we'll see how that works out. I hope it's more balanced. I think it is, because if there's a lot of Dakka jets, you're going and they all swarm you, I think Imperials are going to be in trouble, because as the Imperials, I really love their fighting style actually, because you're great at medium range, and the last cannons can really put out some damage at long range. Like a good last cannon hit could potentially shoot down a Dakka jet like in one go. But when you get into close range, you only fire 2 shots with the autocannons, the quad autocannons or whatever they're called, instead of like 6 in medium range. So they go down in firepower quite a bit in close range, and orcs want to be in close range. So the thing with Imperials, I think a lot of times you have like a Dakka jet or 2 in close range, and hopefully, sorry, my old plane. There you go. Hopefully you have another target like in medium range that's fighting someone else further off, and they can sort of shoot at each other's targets instead, because you don't want to shoot at close range with the Thunderbolts. The Marauders fare a little bit better, because their guns, the turret and the rear gun are actually a bit better at close range. But those guns only wound on 5s instead of 4s, so they don't do much. But they can actually, that and their insane 5 structure health makes them tanky, and being able to just like fly into the hurricane of red Dakka jets and just shoot at something. So the bombers are more like flying tanks. They don't do much unless you get the enemy in their medium range, because last cannons, I mean, both these and the Marauders have last cannons, and you don't want to be in medium range of either of these planes, because the last cannons alone are freaking lethal, because they wound on 2s, like on medium range 2 shots wounds on 2s. And on the Thunderbolt, of course, the 6 shots from the quad guns. Although this is a Fury. We did our second game. We did up it to 100 points with upgrades. So we took a few missiles, and I think I took a Fury. The Fury basically, for 2 points, he has 1 more shot at close range and 1 more shot at medium range. And he has extra damage on a 6+, which means any wound rolls of 6 is 2 damage. for 2 points, that's like insane. I kind of wish he had like a stat go down somewhere, like maybe he's a bit slower or whatever because of the heavier armament, but not as far as I could tell. So the Fury, I mean, it's almost an auto include in that sense. We didn't play with the named pilots. I really want to do that, but I think I actually wanted to paint the Thunderbolt in the paint scheme of the Ace pilot, because he has a red plane with like a white underbelly. I think that will look really cool. So I might paint one of these planes in that color. At the same time, I sort of want like a wing of 4 Thunderbolts in the same paint scheme, like they're part of a squadron. So we'll see what I do. But I think that's it until the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.